Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. My name is Ronald. If you guys are new here, first things first, you might want to like, share, subscribe so you never miss a bite. Well, it's another video of course on my channel here, and today I'm going to talk about something very simple, and that is going to be going into another country, or in this case for me, a shock of Uganda to Canada. Personally, let's just say coming to Canada, and basically it was a big shock for me. How so? Well, I'll list down a few things for you guys. Some of you can relate if you're not from here. If you are from here, you may probably not be able to relate, but here it goes. So first and foremost, I remember coming here, and it was somewhere I think in August. The weather wasn't as warm as what I was used to. That's one. And I remember it was at night when we landed. One of the biggest things I saw was this massive airport. And where I come from in Uganda, we did not have that kind of massive airport, and everything you're looking around basically was new to me. I mean, it's simple things like, say, you look at the layout of things, you're looking at the lighting around you, then you look at the moving walkway, or even the stairs themselves when they're moving. I was so green about it. I have to say, I'd never been in any of those, so I had to be very careful how I step on it. I know I had to be very careful because like it's moving, so it's like trying to wait. Okay, now maybe now. Yeah, that was something else. And then I remember then you go through checkpoints, and it was my first time, of course, to travel to be on an aeroplane. That's the number one thing probably I should have mentioned, is being on an aeroplane. That was very interesting too. I'm like, ooh, wow. And I remember actually when the plane lifted, that was quite interesting as well. It's like feeling like so you get these butterflies in your stomach. But anyways, talking about the shock basically coming here, I remember we were in a car, and they are driving me. In this case, again, I'm green. I don't know where exactly I'm going. By green, I mean I've never seen the things before. So many lights. I remember seeing the highway, and I see so many lanes, and I was confused in a way. I'm like, how do they drive here? Like, I'm looking at so many cars side by side, and someone driving. I see bridges on top of you. And I remember coming from the airport, if you've been at the Toronto airport, you see multiple different of course bridges, one over the other. That was a lot confusing to me. I'm like, how do they know where to go, and but people are driving. And as I say, they see street lights, in this case lights on the highway, of course. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. That was shocking to me. Again, culture shock, right? So where I come from is considered to be a third world country, and then in this case, this is the first world country, like where we are in Canada or US or whatever, right? Now, the other biggest shock, of course, was waking up in the morning, and I'm looking around. First of all, a lot of trees had lost leaves. I was wondering what's going on with the trees, and like, are these trees dry? At some point, I'm like, are the trees dry? What's going on with them? Like, no, it's right now fall. I'm like, huh? What? Fall? What does that mean? So yeah, this is a change of season, basically. From fall, you're going into basically winter. I'm like, interesting. So the trees dry, they don't dry. The leaves will get back on once we go through winter, and then spring, and then into summer. Within spring, they'll be picking up everything. I'm like, wow, okay, that was very interesting to know. On the other hand, also, I remember food. Oh my God, you all know me as a cook now, or a chef, whatever you want to call it. Back home, we eat chapatis, as you guys can see there, and I've made check that video out for me, by the way, if you want to know how to make your own chapatis, or what Indian will call roti. Some people call it flatbread actually as well. But here's the thing, one of the families we visited, they made chapatis, but then they put in and they were sweet. So I'm wondering, why is there sugar in this? Like, why would someone in their right mind put in sugar? Because where I come from, like, honestly, sugar is for tea. We couldn't afford sugar to have sugar every single day, so putting in food, that's out of question. And speaking of sugar and sweet, this back into Chinese food or Asian dishes. I'm like, so I had a difficulty to actually start eating Chinese or Asian foods. That was a shock to me too. I was wondering, why on earth are people making food with sugar again? That was a shock. I didn't get it until when sometime afterwards, that's when I understood, understanding flavors. And when I went to school for my cooking, when I went to Liaison College, I studied French foods. That's why I do fusion a lot. So it then made sense, and I started testing things. I know, right? And the other things, and I know some people probably haven't tested this either, but I remember when I first had mussels. That was interesting. My chef, actually, I was hiding behind everyone else after we made the mussels, so I didn't want to try them. And he did say, you all should perhaps try this so you know if you need to cook it. Because, with mussels, if you're not careful, they'll be rubbery or, so chewy. So you want to know how to cook them right. So I didn't want to try them. So I hid away. But then my chef called me again and said, Ronald, you should try this. And I did try one. And after trying one, guess what happened? I asked for the entire plate and I finished them all. I know, right? Culture shock. Have you seen traffic lights here? I know. Traffic lights for me, back home, they weren't like that. I mean, back home, it depends which area. Sometimes it's more like a suggestion, really. Here it's more like you gotta follow it, or you might get a ticket or something like that. Even back home, you possibly could, but people may not follow them as much. Besides, I know from back home, some of our policemen, whatever, traffic, they may not follow them as much. As in, sometimes if you went through it and you gave someone a little something on the side, like a little cash, they might let you go. I'm just saying. Some of you have probably experienced that. And also, on the other hand, I do remember actually when I had to use a bus. That was very interesting as well. So I'm like, I remember back home, by those are taxis, what you see there is called a taxi, which is our transportation system. They have multiple people who be in that one or whatever. But then I remember here using a bus. So I think I was on the wrong side of the road, first of all. So I was waiting, and I didn't know the first time where I'm supposed to be exactly, be or stand or whatever. So I wanted to find out, as I was there the whole time, probably for, I don't know, 30 minutes or an hour, and wanted to ask someone and realize that where I need to go, I had to be on the opposite side. I know, right? So on the other hand, like say, it was such interesting also to be on the bus, and you see the amount of space you have, because here there's lots of buses, and of course the cleanliness and how you're supposed to stop communicate to whoever is driving it, the driver to stop or something like that. That was also, again, a culture shock for me in a sense. So it was very interesting. Those of you who drive on highways, by the way, so here you're talking about east, west, north, or whatever. I know I get all that now. It's like, I know some people who can't even drive in Toronto still. I do. I can drive in Toronto and up north or whatever. Back home, that way sometimes people will direct you. Okay, so listen up. If you go back there, sometimes people will say, so you're going to blah 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 blah. Let's say you're going to a certain place. Say, oh yeah, once you reach this, there will be a big mango tree, or there will be a petrol station or whatever. Turn left or turn right. Some place, not all areas in Uganda, but some places in Uganda, I know they will direct you that way. Here, of course, you go by streets, or we're gonna go west or southbound, northbound, or whatever. You're gonna head northwest. That's all I say. It's comprehension, trying to understand what does this mean, and where am I going, and why am I going northwest, why am I going northeast? You gotta know your directions. You gotta know. In this case, that's why I guess it's easier for some people to just use a GPS, because then we'll be getting lost a lot. culture shock for me was huge, honestly. And then when it came down to also government things, the way they are done here. And by the way, did you know that, say, back in Uganda, we write our names differently? Here, you write down your first name first and then your last name. Back home, you have your last name first, like family name or whatever. In this case, it's going to be Mwonge Ronald. Here, they will go with Ronald Mwonge. And also, on the other hand, of course, is how the other culture shock I had was the pronunciation of some words. And perhaps some of you may not even understand exactly how I pronounce some words, because you may not get it, right? Now I know like certain things on how to pronounce them, right? Like, say, be careful how you say something so that people can understand it, right? I know my wife for sure. We so I said, so you know how you say maybe what you call a trunk? But I want you to remember that we were colonized by the British back in Uganda. So we speak more British English more than the Canadian or American English, right? So instead of saying trunk, we say boot. You open the boot. Those of you who know my wife, she's white. I'd washed clothes and I wanted to hang the clothes up. So I asked my wife, "Where's the pegs, babe? Can I know where the pegs are so I can put my clothes up?" It didn't make sense, because we went there, we're like, "What do you mean pegs? What pegs? What are pegs?" So we went back and forth until when I picked it up and say, "Okay, this is what I mean. This is a peg." And then she told me, "Oh, we call that clothespins." I know, clothespins. Again, remember, British versus American or Canadian, right? And also, of course, I did talk about driving before, you guys remember, but when you talk about driving and what side of the road you're driving on. So although when I came here, I wasn't really driving yet, but it was kind of weird to seeing people driving which side they were driving on. I think for me, I would have called that the wrong side of the road, right? So here you drive basically on the right, but you'll be in the left lane. You'll be on the left when you were in Uganda. So it's quite different. It's like, so it was kind of like, why are they on the wrong side of the road? And yeah, it was kind of weird. So to wrap this up, can you imagine someone who moves here? Do you see how much they go through, try to think about what they have to do, and they have to do it, and why we do things, and what is this? Where am I going? And oh my God, it's a whole lot of stuff. So generally, even the most basic, things are very difficult. It's gonna take someone some time to learn, to understand. So in conclusion, honestly, be lenient with someone if you see either they have a very thick accent, maybe they just can't pronounce things properly, or they just have issues expressing themselves. Just be patient with them. Anyways, I don't know if I introduced you guys to my lovely Heather here. She's sleeping right now. I know, she was whining a little bit. I carried her and then she passed out. So now she's taking a nap. Nowadays she takes about 40 minutes naps. That's what we call them now. She finished her 40 minutes nap, so she should be done shortly. But thanks, guys. I hope you guys like this video, and if you do, of course, check out my cooking videos. I do have a lot of different foods. I don't even know where to start. I do have a bunch of different playlists, whether it's to do with meat, fish, or chicken, or I don't know, comfort foods, baby foods. I have all that. And of course, I do DIYs as well, plenty of those as well. So whenever I can, whenever I have one. And other than that, by the way, and also the reason why my wife isn't posting any videos right now is because of this little lady here, Miss Heather, because she's keeping her busy, plus our son, who is almost 3 years old. Well, thank you guys for coming to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it, and I really hope to see you in my next video. And if you have any suggestions of any videos you guys want to see, whether it's a dish that is not yet on my YouTube channel, let me know, because I'd like to jump on to actually making that for you. Thank you guys. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye guys.